a little bit of an introduction of why am I the person talking about this in front of you. How I got into the topic of sleep is that I used to struggle with insomnia in my 20s. And it got to the point where in the middle of the night I would wake up and I would have bleeding nose at night, night after night, because I was that exhausted. Partly because of lack of sleep, and then as if you have ever struggled with sleep, it becomes a vicious cycle. You're tired, you can't sleep, you're tired, and people often become wired as well, emotionally, mentally, and so on. So I had all of those very typical insomnia symptoms, problems. And at that time, there was even less around. So I went to see my GP and they just given some sleeping tablets and said, go away and work on it. But there was not much out there. So I got, first of all, into this because I wanted to improve my sleep. I didn't want to live that way. I didn't want to wake up tired. I wanted to be able to wake up refreshed. I wanted to be able to sleep really well, not wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And as I got more into learning more about sleep, I got fascinated because it's such an interesting topic and how many different things impact our sleep, right? You've probably seen a range of things in your life impacting your sleep, and sleep then impacts other things. Sleep hygiene is often misunderstood, and I have to clear it up a lot of the times with clients. How I see this is your physical, mental, and emotional preparation for sleep. Not worrying about whether or not I can sleep, it's how can you prepare for sleep itself. The elements within that are these, which is again comes from the National Sleep Foundation suggestions. We talked about bedroom environment. How can it be relaxing? Literally stand at the door of your bedroom, look into your bedroom and make a list of what you like and make a list of what you don't like. Guess what? Take the stuff out that you don't like. It's going to become more relaxing. Or hide them, put them away. Can you declutter? Whatever that might be for you. But it's a really great practical exercise. If you miss a certain color for your bedroom, can you change your bed linen? So you go into your bedroom thinking, oh my God, that's my favorite color and it's amazing. You know, if you ask a child whether they like their bedroom or not, they'll tell you. And often some of those dynamics in that bedroom is going to be colors, textures, their favorite toy, their favorite picture, those kind of things. So look at your bedroom. What are you taking to your bedroom that might actually be stopping you to sleep? Light exposure. So I talked about curtains. It's great to have dark curtains, but it can also stop you waking up in the morning. So look at maybe, if you can afford one of those Lumi lights, I would strongly suggest it. It's a super great investment. And it's super helpful for that morning. It just gives you that natural wake-up process. Ideal bedtime. Don't go to bed at 10 because you read an article that that's the time that you're supposed to go to bed. Figure out what that might be for you. If you're struggling with sleep, often it's a little bit backwards because you're falling asleep because you're so tired. So it's a great way to figure that out is keeping a sleep diary, is becoming more aware of what that time might be for you. And pick the one that's right for you. You do have to bear in mind how your body naturally works. Some of us will be more of a night person. Some of us will be more of a morning person. And there's nothing wrong with waking up 6 o'clock if that's right for you. Use the time differently. I have a client who likes waking up at 6, not because he has to, but because that's how his body works. Stimulants, you know, the usual alcohol. There's nothing wrong with coffee, but if you're sensitive to coffee, that's going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. Stimulants can also be things like water, too much water, because then you have to go to the toilet. So the stimulants aren't just the stimulants that we hear as the basic ones. It's whatever stimulants are for you. I, for example, it's a funny story, but every time I put a chewing gum in my mouth and I start chewing it, I sneeze twice. And it happens every single time. It's my body's way of responding to chewing gum. It always happens. I don't chew gum a lot, but when I do, literally it happens every time. So what are those kind of dynamics for you that your body responds to in terms of stimulants? Physical exercise. So I know people who exercise in the evening, that makes them exhausted, which means that they're not actually switching off, they're falling to sleep. There's a difference. Or they don't exercise at all. Therefore, their body doesn't just exercise. I always look at small exercises, even if you start with sitting up properly, to strengthen your back muscles, to strengthen your shoulders, right? You're all set up now. That's an exercise. So you're starting to engage your core, you're starting to actually loosen your shoulders. That's exercise. And initially it will be hard to do because your body isn't used to it. So don't think going to the gym an hour, think micro exercises potentially during the day, and how can you get that ingrained in your body and train your body. Food can be like that. Some people get really energized after eating dinner because maybe that was the only meal, proper meal, you had during the day. Maybe you had a quick sandwich for lunch and you had no breakfast. I'm not sure what that's for you, but be aware of those things because it can either make you super tired and exhausted or super energized. That's one of the things I recognized as well in my life. I didn't realize at the time that I was dairy intolerant, and I used to love very creamy pasta sauces. And it used to make me so exhausted that I thought I was tired, but actually I was just responding to the dairy. So look at some of your choices. What we're aiming for with good sleep is that you don't need naps, because your body is completely capable of going through an entire day without a nap if your quality of your sleep and your eating and drinking habits and energy levels are good. If your sleeping pattern is very different from Monday to Friday, because potentially you have to get up at a certain time, and very different at the weekend, often people patch it with naps. The problem with that is when you nap at the weekend, you push your Sunday. You won't have as much sleep need because you just patched it with some naps here and there. I always ask people not to nap because it will give you a better idea of where you're at with your sleep. And I'd rather you go to bed a little bit earlier and have that sleep allocated to the night than patching it for the day, because that again becomes a behavior. You're just always gonna nap if you never actually fix your sleep at night properly. This is where it's very hard for me to give general advice, because there isn't general advice, right? We all behave differently. The bottom line is that your body shouldn't need a nap if you've got a good sleep. And even the 10 minutes, I never need a nap because my energy levels are super high all the time.